Hi, welcome back to Title Talk with Title Leap, where we are all about empowering agents with the tools they need to get to the closing table faster and easier. Today we're going to talk about what listing agents should ask their sellers at the time they're taking the listing to make the closing go easier. Hi, I'm James Brown, founder of Title Leap and real estate attorney at James Brown Law.
And I'm Alexandra, Nieto, title manager for James Brown Law. Today we're going to talk about certain things that realtors can ask at the onset when they're taking a listing in order to make sure that the closing process goes a lot smoother.
There's three topics. So there's home improvement loans that are paid in installments with your taxes. There is making sure the property has equity, including things like home equity lines and home improvement loans, and trusts. So first I want to talk about what are commonly called PACE loans and green loans.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of this. I know we've talked about it before in depth.
Right.
But because these PACE loans have different names, people call them green loans or Y green loans.
One woman called it a tax loan.
Exactly, because it's only paid once a year through the taxes. People aren't understanding that it is something, and even realtors, that it's something that does need to be paid off at closing.
And the reason it has to be paid off at closing, sellers are under the impression that because it's paid with the taxes, it can survive with the property, but the buyer's lender is the one who actually requires these things be paid at closing. And even if the seller has been told by the loan officer that this thing can stay with the loan and go from seller to seller, that doesn't change the fact that the buyer's lender is going to require that this thing, in all the transactions we've seen so far, the buyer's lender is going to require this thing satisfied.
So it's something that realtors really do need to question their sellers about when they're taking the listing agreement, because people don't always understand that this is a lien on the property and it does need to get paid off. So it's just
and unfortunately, the realtor can't go to the tax roll and see if it's a part of the tax roll easily.
Correct.
And maybe that'll change in the future, but right now it's a little bit of a mystery. So asking your seller the right questions and really probing is what's necessary. That rolls into my next topic, which is home equity lines and home improvement loans and things that sellers don't think are mortgages.
And I get this a lot where I'll receive a title commitment. It's got 2 mortgages on it. I call the seller and say, hey, you only gave us the information for the payoff for one mortgage. You have a second mortgage. Oh, no, I only have 1 mortgage on the property. Because they have different names, home equity lines, improvement loans, whatever, they don't realize that it is indeed a mortgage and that it needs to get paid off.
And they probably don't think it's a mortgage because they didn't go to a formal closing.
Exactly. A lot of times the bank will just send you some documents and you get from your first lender an additional loan. Again, just realtors making sure that you always ask your client different terminology, just probe a little more than
probably just
you
saying,
might.
Do you have a mortgage isn't enough.
Exactly.
You gotta say, do you have any kind of a home equity line? Do you have any kind of a home improvement line? Do you have anything, rainy day loan or something?
Exactly.
And then the last topic is trusts. Alex, how many transactions are we seeing close as a trust lately?
Lately, a lot more people are buying their homes into a trust.
3 out of 10.
Or they're
2 out of
transferring
10.
into a trust for personal reasons, a lot of times to avoid probate if it's going to their kids or whatever, and they put it in a trust. But they get complicated. And a lot of people like to do it yourself.
Right.
And then run into problems because do it yourself is not always the right way to do it.
And there's language that can be included in the deed even if they have a defective trust, but we just have to know these issues early on. So in the one recent transaction, seller insisted that she had an executed copy of the trust. A week before closing, it was learned she didn't have an executed copy of the trust. The deed didn't have the necessary language empowering or naming a trustee. Now we have to go to court, get a DEC action, declaratory action, where a judge says who can sell the property. It's not expensive. It is time consuming. It is easy for us to do this, but it's going to hold the closing up.
So the takeaway is, if you see that the property that you're listing is held in the name of a trust, right away ask your seller for a copy of the trust so that you can give it to the title agent. Even during the listing process, we don't have to wait until there's an actual contract, because if there's an issue, we can start working through those issues while the property is listed. And hopefully by the time they have a contract, all that's behind us and it's smooth sailing into the closing process.
So summary, 3 tips. Make sure there aren't home improvement loans tied to the taxes. Make sure the seller understands that they have to pay off those home equity or home improvement loans or rainy day loans, and make sure that the seller has a copy of an executed trust if the property is held in the name of a trust. And if you have any questions, as always, call or text us and we'd be happy to answer them early on to save you guys pain.
Thanks for watching Title Talk with Title Leap, where we are all about empowering agents with the tools to succeed.
So hit subscribe and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and you will be able to stay up on all our weekly content, and we will see you next week.